Hey, Seth Smiley here. Welcome to today's edition of the Parents of Teen Drivers Facebook group. Today, we're going to be talking about licensing requirements for teens. So in Louisiana, there are a couple of different levels of a Class E license that teens can get depending on their age and what they've done with regards to taking a class, getting their learning permit, or getting an intermediate license. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a screen share here so you can kind of see kind of the background of it. And then if anybody has any questions about any of this stuff, I'm happy to talk offline, or you can shoot me a message or leave a comment, and I'm happy to answer any of the questions. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at the screen that I have going on over here. And so I'll be looking away because this is another monitor. But basically, what we have going on here is, you can go to the expresslane.org website. That's where Louisiana Office of Motor Vehicles hosts all of the information that they have online. And there's a ton of stuff. And unless you're a lawyer and you like reading all this stuff, it's not really that fun. Like if you go through it, I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of statutes that are applicable to driver's license laws. And a lot of that has to do with CDLs and things like that as well. So really what we're focusing on here is the Class E learner's permit. And so they have the learner's permit for minors, and then you can get into what they call an intermediate license, which is next. And so basically the learner's permit is something for 15 to 17-year-olds, and it requires 30 hours of classroom attendance and learning about everything, and then 8 hours on the road. And while they're in that program, they can get what's called a TIP, which is the temporary instructional permit right here. And so once the driver has that, they can be on the road with their instructor. And then once they're all done with their classes, they can trade that TIP license in for the official learning permit. Finally, they have to do that for, it looks like, for 180 days. And they can drive with a parent or a guardian or any adult over the age of 21 or any sibling over the age of 18. And then from there, they get into the intermediate license, which is for a 16-year-old that has completed the licensing permit stage, or it can be for a 17-year-old who hasn't gotten their full license yet, right? And so they have to go 180 days with the intermediate license, and then they can apply for an official Class C driver's license, or they can wait till they're of the age of 17 and they can get that license, right? And so there's a lot of information out there. The Louisiana Office of Motor Vehicles is a great resource. And they also have this 145-page guide that if anybody's interested in, I can send that to them. Most of it is pretty complex. It even has a lot of the testing requirements and all that stuff in there as well. So you don't necessarily need to dive into that whole thing unless you're trying to study for the tests. And then what else do we have? There's a lot of information on here. And I did want to show y'all this one particular page for expresslane.org or whatever. They have resources for parents. And so they have a bunch of stuff down here, which are very helpful. Some of the things we've talked about before, the National Highway of Transportation Safety Administration, and various other things that go into keeping kids safe while they're on the road. So that is that's a rundown of the licensing laws in Louisiana. It's not super complicated, but it is a lot more complicated than when I was a kid and other people. I remember we could drive whenever I was 15. We had to take driver's ed, and then we could go and qualify for our driver's license. And I remember driving around a big old SUV at the age of 15 and thinking I was king of the world, but cognitively I probably wasn't, should have been driving around something that big. But nonetheless, I ended up okay. And so if anybody has any questions or any comments about today, please feel free to leave them below or direct message me here on Facebook. And again, Seth Smiley with the Smiley Law Firm for another edition of the Parents of Teen Drivers Facebook group. Thank you.